Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I've been out for a bit. I've literally been on vacation like for 2 months, basically working remote, and now I'm finally back in Madrid and getting back into the swing of things. So I'm going to be able to bring you consistent content, which I'm excited about. And I had planned for a while to go live, which I don't normally do after the Leeds versus Chelsea game, and I was really excited to be able to chat with you guys and hear your thoughts. And then we've just had like one of the worst losses that I can remember. So I have some stats and I'm going to be chatting about the game. It's just me. And I want to hear your comments too about the match. So, first off, with the starting 11, I actually felt that it made sense. And it was probably the starting 11 that I would have gone with. I think that we're really missing some depth in that midfield. And, with Kovacic and Kante out, that's just been highlighted so much. Like, I think this game showed us why we need N'golo Kante, and I feel like we really need to sign somebody in that position, because we just absolutely struggled. In the first half, I read a stat that Conor Gallagher and Jorginho only managed to make like 60% of their passes because of Leeds' press, which was just super impressive. And I love Conor Gallagher, but that's not his most dominant position. And it was his Chelsea debut, and he had a massive task on his shoulders to be playing in a position that isn't his natural position. And I felt that he did the best that he possibly could, given that situation. But it was just a tough game. And I see a lot of people on Twitter, at least, calling out specific players, but it was a poor performance by the entire team. So let's get into it. Really, the team was unchanged versus Spurs, and I thought that we played so well versus Spurs and we were unlucky to win. So knowing that the team was unchanged, apart from Conor Gallagher coming in for N'golo Kante, who was injured, and I figured that was going to happen, I was quite happy with the lineup. I thought that Ruben Loftus-Cheek versus Spurs looked very strong last week. Reece James was still able to get forward and attack. Cucurella looked really good. And I just felt that everything worked nicely. Now we bring this to Leeds, and it just fell apart. It just completely fell apart. Leeds beat us to every ball. They were just so strong pressing. Their press was incredible. And you see that the players just got nervous. Koulibaly gets a yellow card within 10 minutes. That's not something that you want your center back to get within the first opening minutes of the game. And he just looked like he freaked out. He looked like he got nervous. He didn't know what to do. And so he pulled the shirt and got a yellow card. Super silly foul to concede. And we'll get to the red card later on. But I just felt that Leeds completely outmuscled us. And I have the complete kilometers here. So Leeds' total distance covered was 86.3 kilometers. And Chelsea's was 75.8 kilometers. So Leeds have run 11 kilometers more than Chelsea did in this entire match. And I think that just shows so much about the game. I think that really speaks what you realistically need to know about this match. Leeds, so let's go into the goals. I'm like trying to get my thoughts together because it was just terrible. And I didn't sleep last night either because we were in Cullera and there was like a party going until 3 a.m. and it was right outside our window. And so we drove back and we're like absolutely destroyed. But okay, Leeds' first goal. I mean, what was Edouard Mendy doing? What was he doing? We've seen it so many times that Chelsea as a whole tried to play out from the back. And I think it's just one of the most common rules is that if you're under pressure, just kick it. kick it, it's better to kick it and concede a corner or whatever than to try to play out, because this is what happens. And massive credit to Brenden Aaronson. I thought that he was phenomenal for Leeds. He was a fantastic signing as a fellow American. I'm very happy for him and hope to see him do well in the World Cup. But he really pressured Edouard Mendy, and that just goes to show you need to pressure the goalkeeper, because you could force them to make mistakes. I didn't see Kai Havertz doing that on the opposite side of the pitch. It was just so silly. And Jorginho did like the same thing last week against Spurs. Why are we conceding these goals from just silly mistakes? Not something that was really well worked. It was just, he fumbled his feet. 1-0 down to Leeds. And after that, Chelsea just collapsed. We just didn't look like getting back into the game. We didn't look sure. We didn't have a response. And as soon as Leeds scored the second one, not sure whether or not that was a foul. I felt like it could go either way, but that was a brilliant ball. And yet again, no heads on it. Our set piece defending has been pretty poor this season so far. I mean, we're only in game 3 as well, but another goal by Rodrigo, 2-0 before halftime. And at this point, I'm thinking we need a massive performance to get back. Look to the bench. There's not really many players to bring on. You have Christian Pulisic, who's rumored to want to leave Chelsea and get minutes ahead of the World Cup. Hakim Ziyech wants to leave Chelsea as well. Callum Hudson-Odoi hasn't played in a long time. I just felt like there was nobody to go to. And in the second half, again, Leeds come out absolutely guns blazing. We concede the third goal, Jack Harrison, and I just felt like Chelsea didn't make much, didn't look good going forward. Thomas Tuchel waited until the 60th or so minute to make a sub, maybe even a little bit later, which I thought was quite late for him. And I mean, realistically, looking at the players that Chelsea had, who do you bring on? So Christian Pulisic and Hakim Ziyech were brought in the 64th minute, not the 60th minute. Like I said, they're both rumored to leave. But the other people on the bench, Ampadu or Arrizabalaga, Azpilicueta, Chalobah, Chilwell, I'm going to say Carney because I cannot say his last name, and Callum. So you're not going to throw Carney into this game at all. And it's like, well, I feel like our options are pretty limited as to who we even bring on to try to fix this mess. But it just did not work out. It didn't make any sense that we threw any formation to the wind before Leeds scored the third goal, and it looked like we were playing like a 4-1-5 or 6 or whatever it is, and it didn't work. Talking about the specific players now, Edouard Mendy had a shocker of a game. He looked really good versus Spurs, and then versus Leeds just completely fell apart. But a lot of the players looked nervous, and that's a credit to Leeds and the pressure that they applied. Thomas Tuchel mentioned this in his press conference ahead of the match, saying like these Leeds players will attack and they're going to press and they're going to try to force you to make errors. And we just fell right into the trap. We should know what it's like playing Leeds, and it's pretty frustrating to see that we can have this really great performance against Spurs, but then against Leeds, which is another really difficult team and a team that realistically we should be beating. We just didn't show up. We didn't look like we wanted it. So anyways, back to player ratings. Well, I'm not going to rate them, but I'm just going to speak about them. Edouard Mendy was poor. Reece James, I didn't feel like he did so much as a right center back. Then when he moved to right wing back, I thought that he looked a little bit better. He almost scored, just pushed a touch wide. And other than that, he put in a couple of decent balls, but he was offside and didn't time his run. I'm just looking at the rest of the... I'll share my screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at. So I want to share... Well, I guess I share this window. And I'm looking at this. So... I'm going to save Koulibaly till the end. Thiago Silva, I don't really have too much to say. I felt like he had an okay game. Cucurella, I felt like was one of the only like sparks in the first half. Obviously, he was getting pressed and losing the ball a bit, but I feel like going forward, he was pretty bright. He had a really, really nice pass for the goal that Sterling scored that was offside. Other than that, I didn't feel like he did too much. Conor Gallagher, guys, this was his Chelsea debut. He's played with the club since he's 8 years old, and he's been dreaming about it for years. I'm not going to be harsh on Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher gets a pass. I don't even think he was like that bad. It was just a position that's not his position. I see him playing further up the pitch as an 8. It's a massive task and defensive duty. He seemed a bit nervous, to be expected, but I wouldn't read too much into Conor Gallagher. I think if we can get him playing in a position that he's strong in, he's going to be absolutely fine. Mason Mount was absent for me. I really didn't see what he was doing on the pitch. I don't feel like this formation with Kai, Sterling, Mount, or Sterling, Kai, Mount, or however they're playing really suits Mason Mount or Kai Havertz. It just seems that like he wasn't able to create anything in that role. Jorginho, I felt was getting pressed, and when Jorginho gets pressed, he loses the ball a lot. I want to see. Oh my gosh, this has like so many stats. This is incredible. Okay. So Jorginho completed 21 out of 25 passes. He had 34 touches. His tackle win rate was 37, turnover rate 14. Honestly, not as bad as I thought. I thought it was going to be a little bit worse. Let's look at Mason's. Chances created 2, passes completed 25 out of 30, 1 shot on target, 2 out of 3 take-ons, turnover 24%. So Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I felt that he wasn't great in this right wing back role. Here, turnover rate almost 30%, which is extremely high. Tackle win rate 60%. Take-ons 3 out of 4. No shots on target. Passes completed only 27 out of 34. I thought he looked a little bit better once he was moved into midfield, though. Raheem Sterling, let's see. He had 17 out of 21 passes completed, 1 take-on out of 4, 33 touches, turnover rate 27%. I didn't think that he did much. His goal that he scored was really nice. It's just a shame that he was offside. It's crazy to think how the Tides could have been different had that not been offside. And Kai Havertz, I thought, was absent as well. Expected is his 0, expected goals 0. He completed 17 out of 19 passes, 0 shots on target, 0 shots in general, 0 of 2 take-ons, 38 touches, 1 interception, 4 true tackles, turnover rate 31.58%. Now, this is just extremely high, in my opinion. I didn't think that Kai Havertz had a good match at all. And I think the big question now is, where does Thomas Tuchel realistically go from here? And here are the match stats, just in case you want them. 14 shots, only 3 on target. Leeds had 12 shots, 6 on target. 50% of their shots were on target. We had 6 corners to their 4, 3 saves each. We had 60% possession, but you wouldn't know it. Offside 7 times. That was big. Like, we kept being offside in really important times. This one is kind of interesting. 15 fouls to their 16. 1 yellow card. I thought we had more than that. And then 1 red card. Oh, I didn't talk about Koulibaly. Aerials 1, 4 out of 40. Pass completion, about 80%. Touches 88, 2 interceptions 7, 2 tackles 4, tackle win rate 75, turnover 17%. It was such a silly foul to make for his yellow card, the first one. But But then even sillier, knowing that you're on a yellow, the game is gone. What are you trying to do? Like, it was just so silly. I think maybe I thought like maybe there might be an adjustment to the Premier League or something like that. I don't know. That like he should know not to make that type of tackle when he's on a yellow, and he should have known not to like blatantly pull somebody's shirt either. That's obviously a yellow card. I thought that he was brilliant against Spurs, but today I just thought that he had a really poor game. He's going to know it. Hopefully he learns from this. But it was just really silly. Alrighty, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And oh wow, there's like 150 of you watching. What the heck? If you like this stream, definitely sub to the channel, like this, so that other people can find my channel. I'm gonna try to stream after every Chelsea game and post match reviews as well as like a roundup. But thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. So back to my question. Where does Thomas Tuchel go from here? Realistically, right? Because like I said, who else are you going to put in that starting 11? I didn't feel that there was anybody else that you're going to realistically slot in. And just going back to the players on the bench, Ethan Ampadu isn't going to be starting. Aritha Balaga, not your starting keeper. Aspie isn't going to be starting every match. Talaba, maybe you could have put him in. Maybe Ben Chilwell, maybe you could put him in. Ben Chilwell is still getting up to match fitness, which is evident. I have pretty low expectations until he gets up to speed. I think he's an incredible player, but he's just going to take time. He hasn't played in almost a year. So he's not somebody that I'm realistically counting on that can be like an out-and-out starter or a difference maker at this point in time until he gains his match fitness back. Carney, I don't know. We haven't seen anything of him yet, but I wouldn't have thrown him into a game like this. Callum Hudson-Odoi hasn't played for months. I think he scored 1 goal for Chelsea last season. And he's rumored to want to go out on loan. Christian Pulisic wants to leave. Hakim Ziyech wants to leave. So realistically, we don't have any other options to bring in. And that's why I think it's so important that Chelsea bring in some more signings. Some people are joking that the cost of Aubameyang is going to like skyrocket after this match. But bring in Fofana, especially knowing that our left center back can no longer play next weekend, and Fofana plays for Leicester. Get that done so that he can play against Leicester. And I feel like we really need some attacking option, because Mount, Sterling, Havertz just isn't working. And maybe we bring in Aubameyang. I feel like that would be a bit of a bandage. How many years are we realistically going to be getting out of him? He is a proven goal scorer. I'm a little bit nervous about bringing in Aubameyang, to be completely honest, just because of his behavior at Arsenal. I would think, since he's worked with Thomas Tuchel before in the past, that wouldn't happen, I would think. But it's just something that makes me a little bit nervous about how he left in terms of Arsenal, and they didn't like know where he was, and he just was off in Barcelona. But he is a proven Premier League goal scorer, and there have been a lot of players that play for Arsenal and then go on to win a lot of things at Chelsea and kill it at Chelsea. So I'm not against the move. I do think that we need a goal scorer, somebody to kind of like push Kai for that position, because again, these have been 3 games that I think Kai has been absent, and I really rate him, and I really rate him as a player. And I really see the potential in him, but he just needs to be doing more. He needs to be doing more. I see we have some Real Madrid fans in the comments. And Mason, he doesn't dribble 1v1. I don't see him as this winger. And so it's frustrating, because I think that he's such a talented player, but he needs to play more in the midfield in order to be able to pick out those passes, in order to be able to be more creative. He's not somebody who's going to go and run and create space. That's just not his game. And so I feel like we're kind of wasting him in that position. So for me, it feels like the formation just doesn't really work anymore. I personally feel that this formation was built to try to hide a lot of the weaknesses that Chelsea have in this team. I think that the formation does a good job at protecting certain players and kind of playing to all of the players' strengths, or at least it did, playing to players' strengths and trying to hide their weaknesses as much as possible. I think when N'golo Kante is on the pitch, it makes a world of a difference, but he's somebody that has been getting injured a lot, and we can't rely on him to be fit week in week out anymore, and it like literally kills me because I love N'Golo Kante with my whole heart, but we need somebody who's going to be able to play those minutes because he's out now. He played against Spurs, he was incredible. Now he's out for 3 to 4 weeks minimum. We need someone who's going to step in. We can't have a Jorginho Gallagher pivot situation going on. That just doesn't work. So I think that signing Fofana, getting him over the line, is going to be absolutely necessary. Bring in a midfielder, defensive midfielder, somebody with creativity. Bring in some attacker. I think we're only going to see Aubameyang, but I feel like we need somebody else. And then and only then, maybe we're also going to see some of these players that don't really want to be at Chelsea leave as well. Maybe we'll see Christian Pulisic or Hakim Ziyech or Callum Hudson-Odoi go out on loan or be sold. I don't know. There's still time left in the window, but I just feel like there is a lot that needs to be done with this Chelsea side. And I don't know. It's just frustrating that they perform against these big teams. Like, I'm always nervous going into the games because we don't have the best of form going into big matches, and then we play Spurs and we look absolutely dynamite, but then we play Leeds and we just completely fall apart. And it's just something that I don't know the exact answer. The team is lacking a lot of creativity, but we're also not nearly as sturdy defensively as we once were, and we're making a lot of individual mistakes as well, which I think is the really frustrating part. Last week, I felt like Jorginho didn't kick the ball out this week with Mendy. He's made that kind of mistake like too many times. Like, he gets a bit flustered and just loses it. Real Madrid's the classic example. But yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts about it. I'm going to start going through your comments now. Almost 200 of you guys watching, so thank you so much. I appreciate it. Make sure to like and sub if you're enjoying the stream. Nathan says, terrible game. I'm starting to wonder if we're going to get top 4. This is something that I'm like low-key super nervous about. The Spurs game like eased my nerves a bit, and now I'm thinking, yeah, well, Arsenal are looking freaking fantastic. Arsenal are looking fantastic. Spurs, they didn't look great against us, but otherwise I think they're looking really good as well. City are, I think, probably going to win the league. And Liverpool, okay, they haven't won yet. Maybe we'll see how they do against United. But they're going to pull it back. They're going to get top 4. So this is something that I'm worried about. Daniel says, I'm sorry, but something is wrong with your attack. There's nothing to be sorry about, Daniel. We know that there's something. It's just not clicking. The attack isn't clicking, and it's super frustrating. Was the formation at fault? Would a 4-3-3 work better for Chelsea? Potentially. I think that the players just really weren't up for it, which is shown based off of how much Leeds ran more than Chelsea. They ran over 10 kilometers more. I think once we went into a 4-3-3, until we can like just kind of threw tactics out the window and threw Pulisic and Ziyech on and just went all out attack, we did look better because like Connor was playing more in his typical position. Mason, I think, was playing a little bit lower as well. But it's really hard to tell because the weird thing is that like sometimes these things work, and like I'm no expert on tactics, but sometimes the formation works with these players, and then other times it just completely backfires, which is something that I don't understand. I would think that would be like more or less consistent. I do think that Leeds were specifically targeting the midfield in particular so that they weren't able to string together passes and move the ball forward. But I don't really have an answer for what Chelsea's best formation would be, or if this would have worked better, because I think at the end of the day, like, we just got outclassed. Like, Leeds were so good. They went for every ball. We didn't go for like any second balls or anything like that. They were just pressing us like crazy. They had so much energy. This is something that we know is how Leeds are, and it just looks like we didn't have an answer. We didn't know what to do. Fafana is 100 million, price gone up. That's hilarious. Yeah, Jacob says Leeds got their tactics spot on and we were sloppy. Yep, we were sloppy, and it's really frustrating. Mendy still didn't learn from the past. I think he just got flustered. Like, and that's why you always have to press the goalkeeper, because you know that these things can happen. And I thought that Brenden Aaronson was incredible. Like I said, I thought that he was so good for them. But yeah, I don't know. It's the type of thing that you learn. If, like, when in doubt, kick it out. That's like the golden rule, the basics. And I'm just surprised that he kind of, I don't know, that he just tried to juggle it and then thought that he could get around Aaronson. I don't know what I would do if that was me. I would probably freak out and do the same. So I guess it's easier when we're not the ones in that position, of course. But still, I just feel like at this level, like, we can't be gifting so many goals. And it's something that we saw at the end of last season, and that it's continued into this season. And something that Thomas Tuchel has also spoken about is that we would play okay, but then we would gift goals from individual mistakes. We're making way too many individual mistakes. And that just completely changed the game. It completely changed how the game was going. I thought that we were actually okay, and, the Sterling goal was really good. And I was like, okay, if we can just like get this down, whatever. But as soon as Leeds scored, we just didn't look like coming back from it. Somebody says they should put Sam Kerr as a striker. I would honestly love to see it. I would love to see it because I think she would do phenomenal. Seth says, I won't stay here talking about the goals we conceded. Do we even have an attack? Hakim on the first half. We're not on the same playing with 9. Yeah. The attack is something that I think we definitely need to improve how we do that. I don't know. I think that this formation it does not bode well for the attackers, and I don't think that it necessarily plays to their strengths. I don't think that it plays to Mason's strengths, to Kai's strengths, to Conor Gallagher's strength, even Raheem Sterling to an extent. I mean, Raheem Sterling is somebody who's a proven Premier League goal scorer. He scored 10 plus goals in, I think, 5 consecutive seasons or something like that. And if he's struggling and we're not even creating chances for him, something's wrong. It's not Raheem Sterling. It's what we're doing. So I think that we really need to look at what we can do to improve the attack. And personally, I don't know. I feel like we might need to change the system. I feel like we don't necessarily need to have the 3 center backs. I know a lot of people have said that, this back 5 isn't defensive because you have the wing backs who are meant to go up and attack. But I don't know. It just seems like it's not working, so I would try to change it. Just going through the comments. Isn't it bizarre to have Ruben play at the right? Like, there aren't any choices. Mendy needs to be benched for a game or 2. Honestly, I thought for Spurs, like, Ruben looked really good, and I think everybody was super high on it and happy about it and saying, wow, like, we have some quality depth here at right wing back. I don't know exactly the tactics behind what happened and like why he didn't have a good game. If it was just Leeds pressing, if they were targeting him specifically, he didn't have a good game. Honestly, like neither did anybody else. So I'm not looking too much into it. I do miss having Reece James play at right wing back. I think against Leeds, there was no way that Tuchel was going to start Aspie because they had just so much energy. And I am Aspie's number one fan, but I assume Tuchel just didn't want him didn't want to put him in that situation. So that kind of forces Reece James to play right center back and so on and so forth. But with Fofana, maybe these things will change. Also, Trev, I don't know why we're not playing Trev either. Like, he's somebody that we've seen can play in that right center back position. I do think last season he did make a couple of, like, I don't want to say big mistakes, but I was noticing like pretty often that he was maybe making some really risky tackles in the box or conceding penalties. And he's an incredible player, but I think he also just needs time and development. And maybe Tuchel's feeling like there's just no time to give time, if that makes sense. I don't know. Congrats to Leeds. They earned it. Yes, they certainly outplayed us. Lethargic, slow, sloppy. What would you guys use to describe this game? Like 1 to 3 words, something like that, and I'll go reading through them. And what changes would you guys make ahead of Leicester? Because I think that's the big question. I don't know what changes we can realistically make. So I'm keen to hear what you guys have to say. Maybe we'll make some signings. Maybe we'll hear about the rumor mill going off after this. Yeah. Nicole says Pulisic and Ziyech did nothing. Why should they? They want to leave. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like, you want to change it up. You want to bring people off of your bench. You look to your bench. Who do you realistically bring on? So I kind of understand bringing them on, and I understand not bringing them on. But we really don't have anybody else to bring on and change the game. Like, again, looking at the bench. Looking at the bench, who's the attacking option? Maybe Kelmutz and Adoy, maybe Carney, maybe Ben Chilwell you could bring on, and he's not fully fit. Like, that's it. Those are your options. So I understand Thomas Tuchel bringing them on, but I also understand saying that if they want to leave, we should let them leave and not bother investing minutes in them. At the end of the day, right now, they're still a Chelsea player, but let's see how the window gets on. Describe the game. It was very Man U. They played in a Man U manner. Okay, so now we're using Man U as a verb. I got it. I describe it as getting soccered, USA. Yeah, I heard a stat on my stream that it was the first game that an American player scored under an American coach or something like that. Something along those lines, which was pretty cool. As an American, but as me, a Chelsea fan, it was not cool. Yeah, a lot of people are saying we need a proven goal scorer. Absolutely. It makes me wonder, like, seeing how Gabriel Jesus is doing so well for Arsenal. Like, I feel like we could have done so well going for Jesus. I feel like he would have been fantastic. I mean, he's doing fantastic at Arsenal. Maybe it's because we spent so much money on Kai Havertz, and Thomas Tuchel kind of sees Kai as like the striker number 9, and he didn't want to put direct competition with him yet. Broya as well. That's the other name that I haven't mentioned yet. He's out injured, and that's somebody that you realistically could have brought on to change the game, but they weren't available either. So it's just like the beginning of the season already. Like, haven't even had the World Cup yet, and we're just seeing like so many injuries. Chelsea Smith says it was a physical game, but I wish Tuchel would have come on a bit earlier, to be honest. Yeah, I was kind of surprised that he came on so late. I do kind of get it that, it's a super physical game. Ben Chilwell isn't up to full match fitness. He's still getting like minutes in his legs, and he did look a little bit, what's the word, unsharp against Everton when he started. But yeah, I completely get it. He can bring something, and I think like the only way he's going to get back to match fitness is just giving him minutes. And at the point that you're 2-3-0 down, honestly, what's the worst that can happen? Robin says, except Mount, Gallagher, Reese, who will run and match energy with who will run and match energy without Leeds players. No one. We got outrun. I think Jorginho as well isn't typically so physical, and that's like very difficult in when you're playing against Leeds, because I feel like they're a super physical side. Koulibaly looked like he struggled as well. Mount runs, but he didn't create anything. Kai didn't create anything. I don't know. We just couldn't string together passes. They massive credit to Leeds. I said it time and time again, but they were just absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, that's basically my match thoughts, guys. That's how I'm feeling after the game. Pretty disappointing. I really thought that after Spurs, we were going to come in and just like absolutely kill it. I was going to be in a fantastic mood after like barely getting sleep, but that is not the case. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I'm gonna try to do this like every week after the games, match stream to talk about the game, share some stats, my thoughts, etc., and interact with you guys. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this. I was gonna say I hope you enjoyed the game, but I know that you didn't. And hopefully we'll be back against Leicester. I don't know. Like, I don't even know what to expect in the starting lineup anymore. What kind of game we're going to have, because it's just so up and down. I felt like Everton was like, we squeaked a win. Spurs, we played really well and got a point, and then today we just played really poorly. So it's kind of been a mixed bag of things. So hope that you enjoyed this match reaction, match review. If you're watching this, sub to my channel. I'm going to have a lot of stuff planned. Premier League previews, Fantasy Premier League with Olivia Bazaglo. I'm going to do a top 5 at 5 minutes, like top 5 league highlights in 5 minutes, and get guests on. So if there's anybody that you want to have on, any other kind of series that you want me to cover on my channel, let me know. Make sure to like this video, comment on the actual video so that other people can find my channel as well. Sub to the channel. Like I said, loads of content coming up, and thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I really appreciate it, and have a great rest of your day, evening, whatever time you're watching this, if you're watching it back. And until next time, I'm out. Bye.